Another pass. What's up, guys? I am James Hake. It's 9:01 a.m. Thursday, August 19th, 2021 A.D., the year of our Lord. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time here in Los Angeles. And, guys, a quick correction. Yesterday I was thinking, 121, you know, this Christian punk rock band, if you've been hearing my show at all this week, that I've been playing 121, O-N-E, and then space or colon or hyphen or whatever, O-N-E, numeral 21, numerals 21, 121. I thought that it was Philippians 1:21, which it is, but it's not, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I think that's, like I said earlier, I was thinking, at least I said it earlier to the audio feed, I was thinking that's, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I think that's 4:23 or something like that. Philippians 1:23, 1:21 is for to me, to live as Christ, to die as gain. So it's a Christian band. It's a reference to a Christian Bible verse, Philippians. Unless you think Paul was a false prophet, because like one or two of you guys think that. Anyway, I have a 121 song for you guys. And I think this track is called, did it transfer all the way? Do you see the folder? Yeah. Okay, cool.
I just see the music file, though. I don't know if there's anything.
Let me see if I can retransfer the entire thing. Hold on, guys. Man. Merge. Man. Wow, what a mess. Yikes. You know what? Oh, gosh. It's going to take forever, too. Because it's not transferring. Hold on. I'll be right back. Can you play some music? I'll be right back, guys. Wow. Stop that. Jesse does it, so I can do it too. What's up, guys? And I don't know. Can I tell JLP's business? Sometimes when I used to be producer, and actually to this day, JLP would walk. Actually, he wouldn't even walk out. He would just run right into the break.
To this day.
And we would be like very unprofessional. And he would be like, Rush Limbaugh does it. And so now I'm saying Jesse Lee Peterson does it. So guys. Highly unprofessional. I was unprepared. I thought that it would transfer over. I transferred files to Skateboard White Chris, our excellent board operator. But anyway, all is well, I think. I have a song from 121 called Hardcore. It's a Christian punk rock band, and hardcore is a reference to like hardcore punk. But these guys are hardcore for Christ, not hardcore for a scene. So hopefully the lyrics will work on the video feed, and hopefully the audio will work on the audio feed. Enjoy, guys, or don't. Cover your ears, mute, or pay attention, and I'll talk you through it. It's not too long. Enjoy Hardcore from 121, 1998, when the dragon is finally laid to rest. I like it. Thank you very much, 121. What an excellent song. Hardcore for Christ. You reap what you sow. If you sow for yourself, you'll reap destruction. What a mess. Hey, yo, Hake, I'm going to unsubscribe to you if you keep up this bogus speech, says Vincent Van Gogh. And Malkuth X said, what good is music that has to be explained? It's not that it has to be explained. It's just an enhancement of the music. Everybody likes a little explanation, or many people do. Anyway, guys, let's finally get right on with the show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how are you guys doing? I am fine. We have one line open, guys. And now that I'm behind on my show, normally I like to be ready by like 9:07. It's 9:09. I had to step out for a minute. I have to hurry through this stuff. One line open, though, guys. You can call in 888-775-3773. My pointer pointing at the phone number on the screen, just like my pointer was pointing at the lyrics on the screen, guys, because those guys sing pretty fast. And I use the term sing very loosely. They're more like shouting. Punk! Christian punk. Very cool. Temple City Rams had no defense, says Emperor of Cats. What do you know about the Temple City Rams? Yes, I'm wearing a Temple City Rams t-shirt. I got it at Ralph's over there in Temple City on Las Tunas and Encinita. Beautiful neighborhood. I love it. Used to be white, now it's Asian. But the Asians keep it relatively somewhat nice looking, although they transform a lot of those houses, especially in Arcadia, to like McMansion things. Ugh. My dad was very disappointed in seeing that stuff. Because he grew up in that area, El Monte, Temple City, Arcadia, and he saw it transform for the worse, because he was born before. He went through high school well before. I think he graduated when they did that 1965 Immigration Act. So he saw the transformation of America by way of the immigration. But we're not gonna change the demographics, lied the Democrats and communists. Or is that the same thing? Am I being redundant? You know, before I get to calls, quick couple of items. Here is President Trump. He was on Fox News yesterday. Our real President Donald J. Trump. An excellent president. Salute, sir. A lot of you guys think, oh, he's a rhino too. He was a chump. Well, this is Trump on Fox News talking about Biden and Afghanistan, especially his plan for exiting Afghanistan. I just thought that this would be enjoyable for you guys to listen to. A man of sense, at least he's making sense, I think, with how he thought that this thing should go down. I think it would have been a lot better. Maybe we wouldn't have had Muslims in the wheel well of the C-17s. I don't know. Maybe we wouldn't have had to shoot those Muslims or whatever they were, who were coming at the airport. That wasn't no Christian music, more like satanic and demonic music. They play that music in your church, you need to leave that church for real. Never take your children there, says O.G. Lee. Good thing we are outside of the church building, and we're just having church right here. The community of believers and a couple of atheists. But listen to Trump. Clip 11 from Fox News. It's a couple of minutes long, but bear with me. I think you'll enjoy these commentary from our real president, Donald J. Trump.
We have a military. It's holding it. You know, I got it reduced down to 2,500 soldiers, and they were doing a good job. It was fine. It was a smaller force. I took it down from close to 20 to 2,500, and we were fine. But we have the military there, and we take the military out before we took our civilians out, and before we took the interpreters and other. We want to try and help. But by the way, I'm America first, okay? The Americans come out first. But we're also going to help people that helped us, and we have to be very careful with the vetting because you have some rough people in there, but we're going to help those people. But can you imagine, now what we were going to do just very quickly is we were going to take the military out last, okay, last. The people were coming out, they were going to come out, but the agreement was violated, so I held things back because we weren't going to do anything, again, conditions-based. So they weren't fulfilling their obligations and conditions. But here's just to finish. The people come out first. Then I was going to take all of the military equipment. We have billions and billions of dollars worth of new Black Hawk helicopters, brand new, that Russia now will be examining, and so will China, and so will everybody else to figure it because it's the greatest in the world. We have brand new Army tanks and all sorts of equipment, missiles. We have everything. I was going to take it out because I knew they weren't going to fight. Just one thing, and I have to say, and this is different from everyone else, I said, why are they fighting? Why are these Afghan soldiers fighting against the Taliban? And I was told some very bad information by a lot of different people. The fact is, they're among the highest paid soldiers in the world. They were doing it for a paycheck because once we left, they stopped fighting. So all of the people that talk about the bravery and everything, I say everybody's brave. But the fact is, our country was paying the Afghan soldiers a fortune. So we were sort of bribing them to fight. And that's not what it's all about. It's a great thing that we're getting out, but nobody has ever handled a withdrawal worse than Joe Biden. This is the greatest embarrassment, I believe, in the history of our country.
Crazy, huh? Right on, President Trump. Trump is not America first. He's MAGA. MAGA. What? He's make Israel great again? Well, make the world great again when you make America great again. Trump, the best POTUS ever. POTUS is short for President of the United States. Agree, press 3, says Louis Bootsy. Louis Bootsy. What's up, Louis? What's up, Dwight? Mixed reviews on the Trump administration, but I'd much rather have Trump. And by the way, somebody got mad at me, who's like a longtime listener, for reading somebody's comment that Dennis Prager and Mike Cernovich people are running America. And I'm like, kind of, I know what you mean. We'd be better off even with Dennis Prager and Mike Cernovich because they're at least competent. These people thrive and benefit off of incompetence. Same thing as corruption. Because when you botch the Afghanistan thing, well, isn't that convenient? Then you can have even more refugees to come in to transform America for the worst. Trump is a Zionist shill, says Carl Roberts. Whatever. And he pointed out Americans come home first. This is according to a Breitbart News reporter, Christina Wong. Interesting. She's a Pentagon and national security correspondent for Breitbart News. She tweeted yesterday morning, from the Department of Defense, in the last 24 hours, C-17s, that's those big planes that you saw the Muslims trying to hold on to, or Afghanis, whatever they were. C-17s have flown out 2,000 passengers in 24 hours. Not very many, right? 325 of those 2,000. 325 of the 2,000 are American citizens. Wow. Wow. Talk about disorganization. Super Dave says, Shi Wong. Oh, man. So like less than a fifth, not even 20% were Americans that they flew out in the last 24 hours. And I hear that there's a lot who can't even get to the airport. And they don't have any support to get to the airport. What a mess. But then what does Joe Biden say? We had to come out. We had to end this war. We had to end it. Not addressing the actual problem with his failure in it, right? It's not his, because some people are saying Biden is not running the show. Yeah, I don't think he is. He's being run in this show. Terrible. So that's Trump. Sounds like competence. Here's some more competence for you before I get to calls, guys, real fast. Let me play this clip 11. No, I already played 11. 12. This is the Taliban at a press conference being asked, and here's the, let me read this tweet because it gives you important details on what they're talking about. Because I don't speak whatever language that this is that they're speaking. The Taliban were asked, they got a question about freedom of speech, according to this guy on Twitter named Liam McCollum. He says, the Taliban spokesman got a question about freedom of speech. And this is what he said in response. He said it should be addressed to U.S. companies. Listen to this.
دا سوال خو باید فیسبوک له ادارې سره وي د بیان د ازادي دعوت دوی کوي او دلته خلک د بیان د ازادي.
This question should be asked to those people who are claiming to be promoters of freedom of speech, who do not allow publication of all information. I can ask Facebook company. This question should be asked to them.
Nice. Nice. Thank God we didn't have to get Nick in here to translate that. Doesn't it feel like Nick knows how to speak all those languages? Or at least imitate them convincingly? Nick the anchor baby. Guest host sometimes for the Jesse Lee Peterson show. Charbi al-hal. I don't know what you just made me say. Maybe, hopefully it was not a cuss word. But that's what he typed to me. Yeah. So the Taliban got a question about freedom of speech, and he said the question should be asked to U.S. companies like Facebook, who claim to promote freedom of speech while still censoring people. Censoring truth, honestly. Censoring truth. Because it's so funny. Back in the days when I was a kid, I remember the ACLU and all these scummy pro, what is that P word that shows degenerate, like naked people having sex? Pornography, pro-pornography people talking about, we support freedom of speech. We believe in the First Amendment, and saying evil, ugly, nasty stuff. And there's nothing decent about them. But now that it's a clampdown on true speech. Truth is suppressed. What a mess. What a terrible mess. So this guy's trolling the mainstream media, and he's right about it. One last clip for you, for your enjoyment. Destroy your TV? with an axe today. And then calls, guys. I promise. Hang on. This is clip 13. I saw this on Telegram. I don't really know the full context of what's going on, but it sounds like Muslims to me. They're saying, Allahu Akbar. And they're smashing a TV with an axe over in the dirt. Apparently overseas in the Middle East. Enjoy this clip. It's 30 seconds long. And then I'll get to some calls. Watch this.
حرام است بنان آنچه که حرام است خلاف اسلام است به خاطر رضای پروردگارمان میزنیم نه به خاطر شهرت طلبی و تکبری. الله اکبر. الله اکبر.
Nice.
طریقنا این دشمن هست این را دشمنان اسلام جور کرده به خاطر تباهی مردان مسلمان و زنان مسلمان و مردان مسلمان را نمیگذارد که به سوی برود. ما مسلمان‌های را خراب می‌کنیم تا اینکه برادران مسلمان ما خواهران
TV. They're only about 30, 35, 40 years behind us. That was what the punks were doing. The sensible ones. Or were they? Back in the 80s and early 90s. Yeah, that's a TV from 1996, says Mighty Mike. Yeah, not a flat screen. They defeated CRT. Wow. What did that TV say to them? I support killing television, says Anderson Mr. or MR. They are on to something. People are lying through the TVs and distracting you from the real world. But, crazy. So right on Taliban, destroying the TV with an axe and destroying the fake news media. Why can't we be a little bit sensible and manly? Better than cutting off heads, says Lobotomite 263. What a name. Let me quickly get to Rick in Maine. He wants to talk about women accusing men years later. Did you hear that R. Kelly has been in jail for like 2 years or something like that? That singer guy, black, innocent. Rick in Maine, how are you doing?
Oh, we're doing great today.
Right on.
I've got so many comments I can't say. But, you know, it never ceases to amaze me, James, that every single one, man or woman, doesn't matter which one it is, that comes out of the work 10, 15, 20, 25 years later,
Yeah.
after an event, there is such a thing as a statute of limitations, people. And the only thing that I can see relates back to an old phrase that I heard many times when I was a child growing up.
Yeah.
A person that falls in this category is no more than a glorified gold digger. That means a person that will wait until somebody comes out of the woodwork and says this, that, and the other thing, completely unsubstantiated, unproven, because if that person had gone and taken the case to the law enforcement agencies at the time that it happened, instead of procrastinating and doing it this way. It's also called the MeToo movement, by the way.
Yeah.
So when someone does that, the only thing that they do to themselves is demoralize themselves as a gold digger. So people, think about this stuff before you jump into something like this. If it happened at the point in time that it happened, take action that should be taken. If you wait until this, that, and the other, then all in my eyes you are is a gold digger.
Yeah, and worse than that, they're just malicious. It's not even necessarily money that sometimes these people are after. Satan talks to them about, oh, you
That's
need to
it.
put the truth out there. The truth shall set you free.
Gonna follow the
Yeah.
demon.
Yep. It's ridiculous.
You know, so it just like I said, it just totally amazes me. And people say, well, I was in a state of situation where I couldn't do anything about it right then. That's your mistake.
Right.
Not the individuals, not the courts or a lawyer. If you didn't report it at the time that happened, that's on you.
Right.
So how about let's not be continuing to be gold diggers
Yeah.
and use your head for something besides a hat rack. Thanks, James.
Thank you, Rick.
I appreciate that. I had to get that off my chest.
I appreciate it. It's good to hear from you,
All right,
man.
buddy.
Happy Men's History Month to you.
Happy Men's History Month right back to you, buddy.
All
Take
right.
care.
You as well.
All right. Be safe.
You too. Yeah. It's a major attack on men. He said 10, 20 years later. How about 56 years later with that guy that I told you about, that communist, that one communist folk singer, as if there's only one, Bob Dylan, right? Is it folk music that he plays? Is it communist? Or is he just a communist on the inside and he doesn't really sing about communism like that other guy did? He's being accused from a supposed harassment or something from 1965 when he was 25 years old, roughly, give or take 24. And some woman who was 12 at the time, supposedly, is accusing him now. Hake, you sound so dumb. How do you know that R. Kelly is innocent? Because these women are accusing him in public. And a man is innocent unless proven guilty. This is America. This is, in the real world, a man is innocent unless proven guilty. And by the way, I heard that there's some tape floating around of him. I'm not interested. But I heard it was a deep fake. I don't buy that it was a deep fake or not. I don't care. The women are as perverted or more perverted and corrupt and violative than the men, than the males. And yeah, there are a lot of female-minded males who get into this stuff. Terrible. Bob Dylan is also a Zimmerman, is his real last name, I guess. Zimmerman. So the Taliban are for women, though. The other day, a couple days ago, it was, I forgot to mention this, the far-left anti-American publisher, not a platform. They pretend to be a platform, keep you on a short leash, kick you off if you act too free or too truthful. Twitter promoted news from Afghanistan as the Taliban take control of the country. 2 days ago, I guess, Twitter put up the headline under World News Live that the Taliban say they will guarantee women's rights under the limits of Islam following the takeover of Afghanistan. Did you hear about that? I'm sure you probably did, if you were paying attention to this mess. That headline may have changed because the libs were mad, right? But they added spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid says that women will enjoy rights according to Sharia law. Sharia. That's what they want to bring into America. And in fact, they're probably already pushing it in certain communities in America. During a press conference on Tuesday, a couple days ago, a Taliban spokesman said the new government would respect the rights of women and media workers within our cultural frameworks, is the quote. The extremist anti-American Al Jazeera reports. And Al Jazeera is also, you've probably seen those videos floating around on social media. They're like meme videos, and it gives you like a quarter of the story, and it's meant to smear conservatives and real Americans and whites and men, called AJ+. Did you know that AJ+ is Al Jazeera? And they are anti-American communists who do not belong reporting on anything about America. because they're evil. Whole bunch of evil people. I mean, so is the failing New York Slimes, though, honestly. They had this extremist anti-male Twitter being extremist and anti-male. Trending headline, a Taliban official sits for a TV interview with a female presenter. Liberals is so shallow. So they thought that was a ray of hope because the Taliban are letting women be talk show hosts, news talk show hosts. Give me a break. It's ridiculous. They said, oh, I sure hope this is not just PR, some guy said. This is a brave and admirable woman, said some female Telemundo reporter, Liz Gonzalez. Ridiculous. Some Japanese guy said, hoping this is more than just PR. May the situation not spiral downward to resemble mid-1990s when Mujahideen-educated Taliban leaders control Afghanistan. Anyway, what a mess. The New York Slimes was the one promoting this stuff. They said the interview is remarkable given the Taliban's history of subjugating women. Give me a break, says the New York Slimes, which has a history of promoting killing babies. Right? Please. And somebody also pointed out, how many thousands of boys whose private parts they've cut off, or men whose private parts they've cut off here in America. And women, ladies whose chests they've mutilated. All for this fake LGBTIQ, specifically the T mess. Transgender madness. Insane. The UK is going to resettle up to 20,000 Afghanistan refugees, probably even more than that. The evil UN called for countries to halt. The evil United Nations, globalist socialists, called on all countries to halt all forcible returns of Afghan refugees, so-called refugees. It's ridiculous. Enemies of the people. Hake is okay, just wet behind the ears. Just a bit wet behind the ears. I think that means I'm new. Promoting degeneracy with R. Kelly. Yeah, actually, he was promoting. He was part of that black singer mess. He was more a product. I call him more a product than an offender. Blind leading the blind, right? Jim Justice says the Taliban is basically Old Testament, to generalize. Yeah. What a mess. Let me quickly talk to Ann, a first-time caller in Wisconsin. Ann, thank you for holding. What's up?
Hey,
Hey.
I just wanted to ask, you mentioned the LGBTQ PIAL, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I want to talk to you about those transgenders in the Olympics.
Oh, okay.
And what a detrimental effect that's having on the world.
Yeah.
And I can't believe that they actually allowed that to happen. And, the thing is, you can always tell, what the transgenders, you can always tell with them, who they are, right? You can always see them, when you're out and about, if one of them's a transgender.
Sometimes they can trick you, but luckily.
Do you think so? Don't you think every time, you've seen them, you can tell?
You can kind of tell, but sometimes if you're not looking closely, which most of the time you don't really want to look closely.
You don't want to look closely?
Right. In fact, there are women who are actually women who I'm thinking, wait, is that a transgender? Because it's corrupted.
Do you do that a lot?
Yeah, look at the governor of Michigan. She looks a lot like. I think it's because she's had plastic surgery on her face. She looks so much like Bruce Jenner to me.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it's kind of weird and creepy that you do that because you're talking to a transgender person right now, and I think it's like you run one of the most bigoted, fucked up shows.
You can't cuss,
I've ever-
Ann. You can't cuss, Andy.
So yeah.
Don't cuss on there.
Oh, don't cuss on here. We can just, you know,
Right.
say that all the Muslims should be.
So,
thrown
Ann,
out,
you're
you
so
know.
you're a man, Ann?
Yeah, I'm a man, and
You're saying you're a
yeah,
man? You're telling me that you are a man?
Yeah, it's great. And you know what the funny.
Okay, I put him on hold. Because I put this person on hold because I just didn't want to. I heard the F and I'm like, oh man. Okay, so I was wondering, Ann. Oh, she hung up. He or she hung up. He called him Andy. I don't know. Coward. If you're a transgender, call into the show and don't be a normal person about it. But you're not a transgender. It's just something that you're into. But this person called in saying Trump was supposed to be reinstated. And then they ask leading questions about stuff. Don't be such a snake about it. This is part of why you guys get yourselves, you know how the LGBT people have a lot more, they call it DV, domestic violence, compared to normal people. Normal people have plenty of women attacking the men and the men hitting back sometimes, or women nagging the men and the men can't handle it, and the men, I use the term man loosely. The males who just don't know how to handle the women, they just get fed up with it and smack the women around. Well, that's all the more prominent amongst the LGBT, specifically with lesbians and with the transgenders. And when the transgenders sneak around and try to seduce a normal person and be like, you couldn't tell. And they lie and say, oh, surprise, I'm a transgender. And a male who's ready to sleep around, which is immoral, sleep around with a woman, finds out that this woman is really a man, and he freaks out and attacks the person who deceived him. That's what happens. Deception and violence and anger and evil. What a terrible mess. So don't be a snake. Be upfront. Even if you are a degenerate, being like, especially for women or men who think that they're women. Hake got tricked, says Proper Dose. I don't know. I wasn't really thinking anything. But yeah, that's an explanation for why there is so much so-called violence against and among the so-called LGBTQ community. It is not a real community, because communities are families. Families are fathers and mothers with children. That's why the black so-called community is not a community, because very few fathers on the whole, the fathers are not there. So it's not a community. They don't even like each other. What a mess. Hake has a trans audience, evidently. We was LGBTJQ, says no. That entire call, I was thinking, Ann sounds like a dude, says Stinger GT2. Not very ladylike. Indeed. Let me get to Alex, a first-time caller in Los Angeles. Wants to talk about R. Kelly, that innocent male who is arrested by the feds, who are much more guilty than he is. The feds, in general, much more guilty. The feds protect their own. When a Fed shoots and kills an unarmed Trump supporter, Air Force veteran woman who's jumping through a broken window that she shouldn't be jumping through, shoots and kills, the feds protect him. The POC, Capitol Police Officer. I'm talking about Ashley Babbitt. Hake, do you like women? course. Let me get to Alex, a first-time caller in L.A. What's up, Alex?
Oh, what's up? Yeah, no, everything I just heard was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to talk about R. Kelly, but that last caller, it was like, I think there's a lot of wrong thoughts, and I think about what JLP says about question everything you think.
Yeah.
And with the mental illness that a lot of people experience nowadays in Western countries, thinking they're a woman or a man, what they're not like born as.
Right.
It seems like these people need to question their beliefs because they kind of just give in to these negative thoughts that they think like, oh, I'm this, I'm that. But no, dude, like it's a lot of chemical imbalance that they need to really check and believe that like maybe my thoughts aren't correct.
Yeah, and you know what? Also question what you're told by the people who are enemies of you, who are pretending to be experts and your friends and stuff like that. Because I was listening to the, was it James Younger, his dad, over in the men's conference. Jeffrey Younger, he spoke at the men's conference, the 11th annual one over at the Bond event in Orlando, Florida. And he talked about how, I think it was him, talked about how they manufacture so-called scientific basis for this transgender madness and the LGBTQIA madness and the racism madness. They get a whole, they've infiltrated, they being the liars, the liberals, if you will, whatever you want to call them. They infiltrated the institutions, and then they come up with these studies that are biased. Liberals, in short, as Jesse Lee Peterson says, lie. He told that to the JSA, Junior State America, and the kids freaked out. But that's, in essence, what Jeffrey Younger explained, was that they come up with the studies and make assumptions, and then these assumptions have this evidentiary basis, and it was interesting. Peer-reviewed by their own people. Theories go into published journals. And then, the mainstream media, of course, butchers what they're saying, too. And the mainstream media is on their side, or even goes further than them. And so it's a whole bunch, and the mainstream media are the same people, same children of the lie. And so they lie to these people, and then Satan in their head lies to them, too. Identifying with a false version of reality. What a mess.
Yeah, and it's that whole idea of science and science being so valid all of a sudden. And,
I know.
There's a ministry I follow on YouTube named Truth
Don't name
Unedited.
it. Don't name it necessarily. But what did they say?
Well, he had a really, really great point about science and how science up until the 17th century was only called natural philosophy.
Interesting.
And he went on to Galatians, I think it was 8:2, about how philosophy is one of the greatest deceivers that is going to come to man. And it's true, man. A lot of the philosophers back in Greece were gay. They were like deviants.
Interesting.
And, yeah.
I've heard people say, oh, we keep a platonic relationship. And I don't want to smear Plato. I don't know. But it just makes me wonder what type of relationship Plato had with people, Because he had...
it seems like they prey on the young, prey on the vulnerable.
Right. We don't know what they were up to. And to this day, there are people preying on the young. I don't know if you heard Hake News today, but Joe Biden was pretending that he is the one protecting children. He and the liberals are protecting children. Whereas it's Ron DeSantis, which a lot of you guys say, oh, DeSantis is just a grifter. All politicians are grifters. That may be, but he's saying the parents should have the say over what the kids do with their wearing a mask and all that stuff. And
I don't believe our politicians are smart. I think they're...
right. They're evil.
Yeah, I think we give them too much credit as to believe that they're so conniving and smart. I don't think they're that smart. I think they're just figureheads.
Going back to what you said about science, I retweeted this on my James Anton Hake account. I'll retweet it on the Hake Report. I happened to see this. I think Mike Cernovich retweeted it. He's been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, spoken at a men's conference before. Seth Dillon, who's a blue checkmark CEO of the Babylon Bee, right? He tweeted this. C.S. Lewis saw the direction things were heading back in 1958. Whatever you think of C.S. Lewis, he's supposed to be a Christian author back before he died.
Mm-hmm. Narnia.
The Chronicles of Narnia. When he warned, C.S. Lewis saw the direction things were heading back in 1958 when he warned of the rise of a scientocracy, a government driven by science that would offer salvation from danger and illness at the expense of personal freedom. That's what this climate hype, man-made climate change, it will be irreversible in 12 years, or it's 10 years now. And illness, China virus, HIV they tried to hype. The flu shot they've been hyping for years. Get the flu shot. Now they have a bigger, badder version of the flu called the China virus that they're trying to scare people with. And it's successful enough to subvert our rights. Here's from The Magician's Twin, which is a C.S. Lewis book, I think. This is something else. For his part, Lewis continued to sound the alarm about the dangers of what he variously called technocracy or scientocracy, government in the name of science that is disconnected from the traditional limits of both morality and a free society. Lewis's most eloquent post-war statement on the subject came in the article Willing Slaves of the Welfare State, published by The Observer in 1958. In that essay, C.S. Lewis worried that we were seeing the rise of a new oligarchy that must more and more base its claim to plan us on its claim to knowledge. This means they must increasingly rely on the advice of scientists, which I was saying is communist instead of common sense, men, religious leaders who are actually leaders, till the end of the politicians proper became merely the scientists' puppets. Lewis believed the world's desperate ills of hunger, sickness, and the dread of war would make people all too willing to accept an omnicompetent global technocracy, even if it meant surrendering their freedoms. Here is a witch doctor who can save us from the sorcerers, a warlord who can save us from the barbarians, a church that can save us from hell. Give them what they ask, give ourselves to them bound and blindfolded, if only they will. Interesting, huh?
Yeah, no, it's into that spirit of fear that I keep on hearing about.
Yeah.
It seems like what they try to, the people that prey on, the women and children, are those most susceptible to fear, and those people are trying to put on pedestals to have, all the voice, all the ability to speak are being given to women and children. You have Greta Thunberg, who's a kid. You have, all these women figures are trying to put on the podium, but they're the ones most susceptible to fear and control because they're the most vulnerable. Why are we listening to them?
That's why I point out
are they the ones
that CDC's scared CDC director, Rochelle Walensky, she's a so-called doctor, not a Christian. She says, but right now I'm scared. I'm scared because another wave of the China virus is coming. She said that several months ago. She's all, we have so much to hope for, so much to look forward to. But right now I'm scared. Yeah, you're right. Emotional women. And men, with Trump in office, he did not actually say anything wrong about the China virus. He just said, don't let it control your life. Don't be afraid. Don't overreact. Do not panic. That's all he was saying, whereas the mainstream media was like, yeah, it's terrible. You should be panicking.
The China virus seems to me like one of those cards that they played on Trump to kind of lure him in, because he had no fear of it and he had no no real issues seeing it as a giant deal, but all of a sudden the media makes it one, so they have to kind of back him into a corner into saying you're letting people die, same with Bolsonaro in Brazil, but it seems like it shouldn't be something you fear too much. It should be a natural occurrence.
So true, let man.
Time come. And with these people, I don't know. This whole idea of fear, it's coming into men, and now men are becoming so feared and so susceptible to their own thoughts that now they believe they're women.
Yeah, I like how you called it the spirit of fear too, because
I've been hearing that through different ministries. They really go about that, and I think the more we focus on letting go of fear, that's just progress.
Yeah, because then you can see clearly, and then you can see if something is actually dangerous and be wise about it rather than paranoid like these people are and panicky and judgmental. That's not good for your health to be judging your fellow man. People have been pointing out that this, the vaccine thing and the LGBT thing and the fake racism thing is all a bunch of divide and conquer stuff, appealing to the evil and the hatred within people, to hate one another rather than to love one another, be patient with each other, and get along as much as you can, and then see what the real evil is, which is the evil within themselves, overcome that, and overcome the evil in the government that they keep on voting for. Give me a break.
Yeah, the vag scene has been like the number one splitting between families. Like, I have cousins that are getting so mad at me. It's like trying to tell them, like, yo, I think you should be wary about what's in this thing. And, like, they're defending this vag scene as if it's like something like their savior. Like, it's going to create things back to normal. But, like, nah, dude, like, yeah, you already know. Like, it's just so strange the fact that we're being told to take something that they only refer to as the vag scene. No other thing to call it. They just call it the vag scene, and it's like,
right.
I'm not sure, dude. It seems very dystopian for them to give it such a simple name as.
I know. And honestly,
strange.
they had to change the definition of vaccine. The dictionary
it's technically not. Yeah,
is fake news.
Not even the vag scene.
Right. I like how you're calling it that. I don't want to get into more detail of why you're calling it that, but I like that you're calling it that.
Technological detectors. Like the Matrix Part 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a transgender movie, by the way.
Well, nah. I think they got punished for making too much realistic analogies for. But yeah, no. Thanks for having me on. Just Hake. You,
right
JLP. On, Joel, Nick, all you guys, like, you got probably the best entertainment we have. I think one of the greatest utilizations of the men we have these days, man.
Appreciate it, Alex. Take care. Happy Men's History Month.
All right, God bless you guys.
You too. Chemical imbalance, says Lin Yan Chin with the Trovo colorful chat, is not cause for these people who are so-called mentally ill. It is not. But effect of your emotional discord. It is the effect, says Lin Yan Chin, and I think I agree with him. This chemical imbalancing. Oh, it's caused by a chemical imbalance. No, what causes the chemical imbalance? If that's even accurate, right? It's a pretense of a science. He says it's clutter of confusion, just misdirection. And he uses the word clutter because he likes to also use the term. He may get to that term. I'll tell you later. It's clutter of confusion is just misdirection of intention. Your act of satiating Satan instead of following God's inner guidance to ever-improving character. It's character, not biochemistry, that defines and directs the light of life. Thank you, Lin Yan Chin. Very deep. Alex from L.A., was just talking about the vaccine being the number one divider of families right now. He's divided with his family, I guess. Alex Berenson is an author. I think he's a guy is he the one who studied pot? I don't know. I think so, maybe. He's appeared on Tucker Carlson's show on Fox News. He's an author of Tell Your Children. I think that has to do with pot. Warning against marijuana, right? He tweeted out this I guess it's a Gallup News link, or at least a screenshot from a Gallup News link from an email that he received, that according to one person reading this Gallup News information, Gallup being they do polling, right? They supposedly do polling, Gallup. And I believe that the finding is that people working, quote unquote, working at home are most strongly in favor of, quote unquote, mandates, mask mandates, vaccine mandates, all that stuff. Those working on site, like the people who are going into work to their jobs, are the most strongly opposed to the mandates. And the people going on site are the ones who you would think are the ones who have to deal with the people and have more risks to run and all that. And yet they are willing to take the so-called risks of not having a mandate. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Opinions about employer vaccine requirements. Those who are fully on site, 33% strongly oppose, 28% strongly favor, 13% favor, 9% oppose, and 18% don't care. The summary, those who favor, about 41% suckers. Those who oppose the vaccine, employer vaccine requirements, 42% non-suckers. It's a pretty evenly divided country, wouldn't you say? What a mess. What a mess. Fully remote, those who are fully remote, 62% favor the employer vaccine requirements, 23% oppose. Those who are fully remote workers, people who just stay home or go on vacation and pretend they're working, right? Like teachers have done. Teachers have gone to these Caribbean islands, and they're like, oh, you have to get vaccinated. Ridiculous. Lord Goodhair, says Lin Yen Chin. This older Gen X-sounding black collar of poor grammar. Oh, yeah, never mind. I already read that one. Here's Lin Yen Chin with the Trovo Colorful Chat. And Brandon M. Shout out to Brandon M. With a Trovo Super Cap. Lin Yen Chin says, we need more hashtag white, hashtag baby, hashtag engineers, so that I can live in outer space. Thank you, man. You're interesting. And Brandon M. says, don't worry, Hake. Natural will return the favor. They have a high suicide rate. Give it a couple of years. Yikes. I think that's referring to the people who are miserable, trying to force everybody else to go along with their delusions, and it is not making them any happier. And they're even having surgeries to validate and justify those delusions. They call it affirmation surgery or something like that. Affirming, whatever, gender affirming surgery. And they're still, at first they're on cloud 9 because they've finally just given up, whatever. Let me just do this. And then they're miserable. What a mess. I will be reading more of your super chats, guys. Streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Thank you, guys. Mighty Mike, Bibby42, A-Fan, Someone, Will, and all of you. But we are a couple of minutes till the top of the hour. Before I get to William in California, I want to share with you another excellent song. This one features a man and a woman. Both of them singing. This is 121 featuring Sarah Merritt is the young lady who sings on this song on this 1998 album, When the Dragon is Finally Laid to Rest. And this is called Accident. This goes out to all you atheists who think that it was just the Big Bang and it was just all this other stuff and no God, and it was all just an accident. Well, I am not an accident. An accident. I am not an accident. Enjoy Accident from 121, and this is actually 90 seconds, so I have to run and be right back. Hang tight, guys, for hour 2 coming right up. In your face, donning armor, the atheist. I am not an accident. Sounds like my ex-wife, says Robbie Lewis Brown. Pass the ear plugs. Beta legs on background vocals, says Canadian David. She can scream, says Lobotomite263. Indeed. How could it be any worse? Stop giving me the finger, Hake. Hake, third hour. Please, press 9, says Luis Bootsy. Louis. Such a beautiful harmony. Yeah, that's what I like that song for. The harmonies. This is ears bleeding, no talent, quote unquote, music, says Top Oracle, whom Lord Grimm calls Top Beta. Well, thank you guys for bearing with me on my beautiful Christian music. This is pure satanic, says Danny. Reminds me of that Chuck doll. I never watched that movie. I was sheltered as a child. This is a Taliban TV song. So, anyway, there's more where that came from, but no more Sarah Merritt, but I appreciated her lending her vocal skills to 121's album. Philippians 1:21. For to me, to live is Christ, and to die is gain. That's where they got the name of their band from. So it's Christian, guys. Real quick, before I get to William in California, who wants to talk about women running things. And then I will get to Thomas in Canada. Always an excellent call from Thomas in Canada. No pressure, sir. I forgot to get to this yesterday, and I actually just copy-pasted it into the folder 20 minutes ago or something. Michael Tracey, you know, I've talked about him from time to time. He's appeared on the Jesse Lee Peterson show a couple of times. He's a really far-left liberal guy. He even used to work for the Young Turks. But I still consider him, even though he is really liberal, and I think he's even an atheist, I still consider him an American. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that he's an American. Most journalists, I would not say, are American. So I'm pretty strict on what I consider American, right? This is actually from like 4 years ago. In fact, today is the 19th of August of 2021 AD. Well, this is from August 16th, 2017. And it was on that website called Medium, medium.com. I almost called it a stupid website. But it's an evil, corrupt, degenerate, subversive, anti-American, anti-Christian, anti-male, anti-decent woman, anti-children website, right? It promotes anything evil they promote. But he was on it for a little while. Jesse Lee Peterson got kicked off of it for like one of his like very first articles talking about the corrupt, progressive Democrat women of color and who are promoting LGBTIQ madness and abortion and all that evil stuff. Black Lives Matter and Muslim radical stuff and communism. There's a whole bunch of Democrat female congressmen who took office or were elected in 2018, and he did an article about how evil some of these people were, and they didn't like it, so they banned him from Medium. Ridiculous. So anyway, this article is titled, this is from mid-August of 2017, a few days, maybe several days after the Charlottesville riot, all right? And I think I'll start reading the article because it'll get you up to speed on what it's talking about. But I've talked about this Charlottesville situation many times, if you've listened to my show. And this is the headline. It's not just Charlottesville. Government officials routinely revoke permits, as in permits to rally or protest and stuff like that in their city, to stymie speech. And it has a photograph of Terry McAuliffe. Terry McAuliffe was the governor of Virginia, I guess, who was called out by one of my callers. It may even have been William from California, who's on the line, on hold. I'm getting to him next. But Michael Tracey is pointing out Terry McAuliffe. And so here's the setup from Michael Tracey. This is his writing, okay? So bear with me. I may plug in a few of my adjectives. After the harrowing events of last weekend in Charlottesville, August of 2017, Democrat Governor Terry McAuliffe, who's a fanboy of the Clintons, I will add, personally, James Hake will add, Governor Terry McAuliffe of Virginia has blamed the ACLU of Virginia. ACLU are an evil communist group who sued on behalf of the alt-right so that they could protest. But it was all a setup. The ACLU are not on the side of true free speech. They're on the side of lying free speech, right? But the ACLU of Virginia, the evil ACLU of Virginia, was falsely scapegoated, blamed by Governor Terry McAuliffe for the public disorder which culminated in the death of Heather Heyer, the 32-year-old so-called white female protester struck by a car. She was in the street, and I don't know if she died from a heart attack after getting hit or what happened. But it's the government officials working under McAuliffe's auspices, as well as Democrat Governor Terry McAuliffe himself, who still have much to answer for, and they still, to this day, have not answered those questions because they get away with everything evil.
To this day!
In the ACLU of Virginia's rebuttal to Democrat Governor Terry McAuliffe's attempt at what it decried as scapegoating, the ACLU of Virginia noted in a Monday statement, which was just days after this Saturday riot, that police behavior on the day of the rally, which was the Unite the Right rally, I will let you know, raised all manner of grave concerns. And here's a quote from the ACLU of Virginia, written by ACLU Virginia Executive Director, a woman, Claire G. Gastanaga. Quote, "It is the responsibility of law enforcement to ensure safety of both protesters," meaning the alt-right or whoever was over there and who had a permit, thanks in part to the ACLU of Virginia, but thanks but no thanks, and ensure the safety of counter-protesters, which they're not counter-protesters, they're rioters, right? The Black Lives Matter, scum of the earth. There were some people who were like generally somewhat peaceful, but a lot of them were rioters set with their hearts set on attacking the whites, right? The policing on Saturday was not effective in preventing violence. That's something that I've said repeatedly. They did not separate the peaceful protesters, the whites, from the evil ones, the Antifa, Black Lives Matter, scum of the earth people. I was there, says ACLU of Virginia Executive Director Claire G. Gastanaga, and brought concerns directly to the Secretary of Public Safety and the head of the Virginia State Police about the way the barricades in the park limiting access by the arriving demonstrators and the lack of any physical separation of the protesters and counter-protesters, attackers. Counter-protesters is another word for attackers in this case. On the street that was contributing to the potential of violence. They did not respond. In fact, law enforcement was standing passively by, seeming to be waiting for violence to take place so that they would have grounds to declare an emergency, declare an unlawful assembly, and clear the area. Wow. Wow. So an evil woman telling something true. If law enforcement indeed goes on this liberal reporter, independent journalist, Michael Tracey, who's appeared on the JLP show, if law enforcement indeed stood passively by and knowingly enabled the conditions whereby an unlawful assembly could be declared, as in Antifa attacks the peaceful whites, and some of the whites defend themselves, as a means of circumventing a federal injunction that the ACLU had obtained on the white nationalists' behalf. They're calling them all white nationalists. Some of them were nationalists who were whites. Some of them were like, they just don't like taking down these Confederate monuments. This was at Lee Park. General Robert E. Lee, a great man, a better man than most of us, right? General Robert E. Lee certainly a better man than anybody who's been for taking down his monument. These guys were protesting it. It wasn't just so-called white nationalists, but that's this guy being a liberal, right? Then this conduct by the police ought to be aggressively investigated, and police should be regarded as bearing a large share of the responsibility of the ensuing violence. Duh, that's what I've been saying. Of course, there is no way any kind of defense of the white... This is in no way any kind of defense of the white nationalists' rhetoric. This is the disclaimer by Michael Tracey. Cringe, which is inherently provocative. No. And almost guaranteed to generate a disorderly backlash. He loses me here a little, guys. Can we say, where is his disclaimer that, of course, the people who committed the violence, the Antifa, Black Lives Matter scumbags, are also responsible for their own actions in attacking, right? Whatever. He has very low standards for responsibility of the... I guess it goes without saying, maybe cut this guy a little bit of slack. But I do notice that all media people, practically all, put no responsibility on the, it's kind of like, put no responsibility on the violent people. The blacks, the Antifa, the Black Lives Matter, scum of the earth, rioters. So at the end of the article, he says, the ACLU of Virginia ought to be commended for not wavering in its commitment to absolute necessity of defending free speech, even in the circumstances where it is proving extremely unpopular among certain of its constituencies or donors. And even where it results in melodramatic resignations and repudiations by the governor of Virginia. Talking about the ACLU pretending to support freedom of speech for the alt-right, right? Or the whites, peaceful whites, mostly peaceful whites. Practically completely peaceful, honestly. After all, the governor's fidelity to the truth is increasingly questionable after his post-Charlottesville media tour included multiple pronouncements that the state authorities were somehow outgunned by rallygoers, which is not even true. By every rational account, couldn't possibly be true. Simply put, the ACLU prevailed on behalf of its client because the city of Charlottesville could not provide a rationale canceling the rally that did not hinge on the speech content of the rallygoers. By ensuring the free speech was upheld, the ACLU did not enable violence. Violence prevention is the purview of police and the politicians who command the police. Any blame should therefore lie with them, as well as the Antifa and Black Lives Matter scumbags. Right? It's a smear upon whites. And, you know, we do have to live in reality. Any white or any non-white, too, who does not sufficiently hate whites in this age is going to get attacked. So live in reality, because reality is the women who are prone to fall for this anti-racist nonsense, and the female-minded liberals, the ACLU and all them. Need to silence my phone. The ACLU, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and many violent blacks and Hispanics and even some whites or fellow whites. They will attack you if you don't sufficiently show your hatred for white people, right? Or men or whatever. You've even seen it with the mask stuff. Masks or vaccines. Even those people are getting assaulted and attacked. Or the transgender madness. If you don't sufficiently hate reality and you don't go along with the transgender madness, you get attacked. And that's what we've been seeing in the streets. People even getting stabbed and shot. So be wary, be wary. It's not just a teach Antifa not to hit. Because that's not reality. That's not reality. I'm imitating the women saying, teach men not to rape. I can dress however I want. I can get knockout drunk, blackout drunk, and go to any old degenerate party that I want. Teach men not to rape. Don't be a phony. Don't be a sucker. What a mess. Anyway, I wanted to share that throwback because I've been repeating it, and there's even a far left liberal, but still somewhat American journalist 3 years ago recounting more to substantiate what I said about Charlottesville, a false attack. All this smear. And to this day, Charlottesville is called, it was an alt-right riot. It was the Nazis, the white nationalists. Trump said Nazis are very fine people. They do nothing but lie about it. They do nothing but lie about it. And then it becomes history. I bet you that the history books will lie about that incident. I bet you. Anyway, let me get to William in California. How are you doing, William?
Hey, good morning, man. How you doing? Happy Men's History Month to you.
Thank you. Happy Men's History Month to you.
That. Yeah, we can't have a History Month without Thomas Sowell.
Nice.
Some of these young people, you guys got to check him out. He slapped Joe Biden all over the place in 1972. He's a great guy.
All right.
This thing about these women running these towns and Congress and everything, and I'm gonna tell you something, man. Yeah, they're messing up. They are. Being black, I'm gonna tell you something. They do have real men left in the black community. You don't hear too much from them. I'm gonna tell you how they handle those guys, those girls, those women. They don't even respond to them. Mr. Griffin, and all of those older guys. Let me tell you something. They don't play with their women. Those black guys are real men. They still exist.
Yeah.
They still exist. I'm telling you. You ask Lord Grimm. They are still here. They're about 70. But if you look at how they walk and talk and get down, they don't play. They don't play with those women.
Right.
Their women don't act like that. Because they're, like Jesse said, not some, not all, not some. Hey, not across the board, there's still some really, really good black people out there. A lot of them.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this. If they call in and do the white, what's that hate the white man thing?
Yeah.
If they call in and do that to you, let me tell you something. Being black, I'm going to tell you exactly what they are. Beta. Because if he's talking about he hates you for being white, wasting his time calling his radio station, talking about he hates you for being white, more than likely a woman is running his county, his city, and his household, and he's a beta.
Yeah.
If he's talking about he hates white people, you can rest assured.
But these people don't come out and say that usually.
No.
They won't admit it. They'll just accuse you of hating blacks.
They'll keep exactly.
Yeah.
That any
but
one
that's
of those
what they
guys
mean
that call
is
in
they
and
hate whites.
When they hate you, you can guarantee those are the kind of black guys that are not running their show.
Yeah.
Now, I can tell you, I've been accused of not being black. I don't care. That's cool. I know what I am.
Right.
I know this. I don't play that with black women. I don't care about your PhD. I don't even get down like that because you don't even show up. Look at what you produced. Sure, there's no black men in the household. You guys got the kids. What have you done?
Yeah.
Look at the product they put out.
Not good.
Not good at all. That's coming from a black man. It's not good. But you still got some out there that they don't play that mess from them black women.
Yeah.
And you know what? They know who to mess with. They know who to mess with.
Terrible. I appreciate it, man.
He's calling your show hating you. If he's calling it, remember that. He's calling his show, he calls your show to hate you for being white, which is stupid. More than likely, his household's out of control. Nobody wants to live in his neighborhood, and his mayor's probably black.
Yeah. No, people.
And female.
People really are. When they're out of control, they start focusing on these big problems, like they know what they're talking about.
No,
I appreciate
they
it,
don't
William.
really know what they're talking about, man. I mean, come on. Your community is out of control. That's why you got time to talk about how much you hate white people.
Yeah.
Because you ain't paying attention to your household.
Right.
And that's not going to all women, all black women, because there's a lot of really good women out there.
Where?
There's a lot of them. They're out there. They're out there. But, I mean, you know, real men don't put up with that. We don't even, I'm telling you, I'm black. We don't even respond to them.
All right.
I'll tell them to go get, I said, you better try to watch out with me. I'll disconnect your washer and dryer and introduce you to a washboard and get back to the basics.
Okay. Interesting.
This is men's history.
Yeah.
Okay? Take care, man.
Thank you, William. Appreciate you.
All right. God bless you.
You too. Quick super chats from someone on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report someone says, friendly suggestion. Would you consider briefly reading through an article the way you do on Hake News, substituting commie buzzwords with their actual meaning, or read through it entirely, then go back and do your commentary to key points? Please don't take it the wrong way. It just seems like I lose track of the original text with the method in which it's currently being read. It also loses the essence of the original text, and it seems to take much longer to finish covering the story that way. Yes, I think I can do that. I think I know what you mean, someone. I appreciate the suggestion. Before I get to Thomas in Canada, let me tell you about this Education Secretary selected by Sleepy Joe Biden. And it wasn't really selected by Sleepy Joe Biden. It was selected by a woman. A woman who was in charge of the way back in Obama days so-called transition team. Yes, did you know that Barack Obama had a transition team? I'm not talking about transgender transition, but I just thought it was a funny joke to pretend that it is. Anyway, the Epoch Times reported, I mentioned this mask madness in the end of hour 2 of Hake News of the Jesse Lee Peterson show today. Sleepy Biden threatens legal action against governors who ban forcing school children to wear masks against their parents' wishes even. Biden said that he was directing Education Secretary Miguel Cardona to take additional steps to protect our children. This includes using his oversight, authority, and legal action, if appropriate, against governors trying to block and intimidate local school officials and educators, Biden said in the remarks. This is Miguel Cardona. Can you believe he's only 46 years old? He's got 6 years on me. Interesting. Miguel Cardona. We're not going to sit by, Biden said, as governors, such as DeSantis, try to block and intimidate educators who are protecting our children. Biden said the federal government may use money, for example, from the American Rescue Plan. Yeah, this is Miguel Cardona. He's a mess. He's basically been in the academic world, which is a phony, artificial world, and then he studied education. And then he was in the government. So has he had a real job? Has he provided actual value in the world? No. He's a Democrat. Anyway, this includes, hold on. He said the federal government may use money from the American Rescue Plan to pay an educator who has their salary cut by a governor. He claims the CDC says that masks are critical for unvaccinated children, especially those under 12, who can't get a vaccine. Even though this China virus has not been shown to be particularly threatening to most children, or even serious to most children. Very rare. So let's put politics aside, Sleepy Biden says. Let's follow the educators and the scientists who are subverted politician phonies themselves, who know a lot more about how to teach our children and keep them safe from any politician. Safe than any politician. This administration is always going to take the side of our children. What a phony. And he's talking about Ron DeSantis, Governor Ron DeSantis and Texas Governor Greg Abbott, among the governors who are they've banned school mask mandates, right? They said, DeSantis has moved to reduce funding equal to the pay of some education officials for school districts that moved to force children to wear masks. He announced his order last month. He said the U.S. government has no right to tell parents that in order for their kids to attend school in person, they must be forced to wear a mask all day, every day. The order says that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, this is DeSantis' order, of Florida, governor of Florida, CDC's guidance, which has been widely adopted, lacks a well-grounded scientific justification, calling on children to wear masks. It referred to a Brown University study that found no link This is DeSantis, referring to a Brown University study that found no link between China virus cases and kids wearing masks in schools or not, right? Many Florida school children have suffered under forced mask policies, and it is prudent to protect the ability of parents to make decisions regarding the wearing of masks by their children. After Biden's threat, a female press secretary for DeSantis told the Epoch Times that the forced maskers often criticize Governor DeSantis for overruling local control to protect parents' freedoms, to make health and education decisions for their own children. I doubt that they will apply the same principle to this blatant federal overreach, right? She said. CDC bureaucrats and their politicized guidance, which does not have the force of law, shouldn't interfere with parents' rights, which are protected under Florida law. Governor DeSantis will continue to stand up for Florida families and defend our rights no matter what the Biden administration attempts to do. These are just control freaks, female-minded control freaks. You know how women try to tell you how to do all this stuff and force you, do this if he's doing it in a loving way. All these conditions and micromanaging. Female-minded liberals do that. Communists. That is what the liberal so-called school board members are doing, who are pushing this stuff. The city and county commissioners are doing that. The self-important health officials, public health officials, what a scam, are doing that. And the federal government education officials. And the teachers themselves. And the female-minded nurses. I was thinking about, side note, about how the so-called healthcare field, the medical field, I know of one man who quit. He was a male nurse. He was an RN, I believe. A nurse. And he worked in the nursing industry, I guess, for lack of a better word, right? In the hospitals. But as the Obama administration started coming in and the culture became more and more corrupt and female, they started forcing, this is 10 years ago, maybe more, flu shots on people. Flu shots. And I remember for years now, maybe even decades, but years for sure, they've been saying, get your flu shot, get your flu shot. They've been offering them at free of charge at these CVS, Rite Aid, Save On, Thrifty, all these places. And they've been forcing them on these so-called healthcare workers, doctors, and nurses. I know one male nurse who quit because of this oppressive, you have to get a flu shot. A lot of people don't trust them. A lot of times, or every now and then, you hear about adverse reactions to these so-called flu vaccines. And so he quit and became a trucker. Well, that's a manlier job anyway, I guess. But we're losing logical, competent men from the so-called healthcare industry. They're doing the same thing to the military, too. You know that guy who said, this black affirmative action defense secretary is pushing diversity and inclusion and equity and all. Those are communist buzzwords. They're communist buzzwords. Marxism. This is Marxism. It's divisive. You're teaching critical race theory. Male nurse? Gay. No, not necessarily, man. I know, I shouldn't call him a male nurse. It makes it sound so bad. But nowadays, all these people in this industry, in this, what is it? National defense industry and healthcare industry. It's a bunch of female-minded liberals who don't mind forcing everybody to take shots because the male-minded, freedom-minded, logical-minded, actual life-minded people are leaving. What a mess. Anyway, let me tell you about this Miguel Cardona guy. Before I get to calls, one line open, guys. I'm an affirmative action. He's an affirmative action pick. And let me tell you why. Politico noted, this Miguel Cardona guy, Politico noted that quote, Hispanic lawmakers were stressing, in particular, the need for a Latina to join the administration, and especially in the education field. Because there's a whole lot of Hispanic anchor babies in these schools, in American schools. And by the way, English is his second language. He grew up speaking Spanish because he was born in Connecticut, this Miguel Cardona guy, this Education Secretary, Miguel Cardona, Puerto Rican parents. I know, I guess it's not an anchor baby because Puerto Rico is supposedly America, but let's be honest, that's still, so many Puerto Ricans are not truly Americans. Think about, what's her name? Cortez, Sandy Cortez. She's Puerto Rican, at least part Puerto Rican. Maybe born in New York, but not American at heart, definitely. But this guy, I said she, Miguel Cardona, was picked by the Obama transition Democrat woman head, Linda Darling-Hammond, to be in charge of education. And guess why he was picked? He was picked because sleepy Biden administration was torn over whether to pick, this is the Department of Education, which should have been disbanded under Reagan. They had two major female heads of corrupt teachers' unions. Show these pictures. Biden was actually looking at Ms. Randy Weingarten. Randy with an I, a woman. You can barely tell it's a woman, but it is a woman. She's basically in the government because she was the president of this teachers union. Man, that is a rough picture of her. Randy Weingarten, a short-haired, feminist, female president of the American Federation of Teachers, which is the second largest teachers union. Biden was the so-called, I say Biden, the people who are handling Biden were looking at her, putting her, the fox in charge of the hen house, to be in charge of the Department of Education. She's the head of the union, AFT, that was colluding with the CDC to keep schools closed, by the way. So you can thank her for a lot of parents realizing that their children are being brainwashed in critical race theory nonsense, right? Abolish the National Department of Education. And he was also looking at this other woman named Lily Eskelsen Garcia, born Pace. She's a so-called American teacher and labor union leader. She was the president, or is the president, of the 3 million member National Education Association. These are the three people who were in the running. These two females who were head of unions, corrupt unions, the worst unions perhaps in America, teachers' unions. And this other guy, Miguel Cardona, who's no better. Ridiculous. This woman married twice, by the way. Yeah, here's Miguel Cardona, and he's out of Connecticut. He was the Connecticut Commissioner of Education for a couple of years, and then he got selected by this woman who was part of the Obama transition team. This guy's a master of science. 46-year-old guy got a master of science in bilingual and bicultural education at UConn in 2001. In other words, he just studied how to study, how to make people study better. He got a doctorate of education in 2011. His dissertation was entitled, Sharpening the Focus of Political Will to Address Achievement Disparities. Anytime you hear disparities, communists. Studied the gaps between English language learners and their classmates who already knew English. What a corrupt, messed up world. In other words, he's done nothing of value with his life but be a leech on the artificial academic world, the fake world. What a mess, huh? So he's in charge of the so-called education, huh? Keep your kids out of these schools. Anyway, I got some calls to get to. Thomas in Canada, been on hold for some time. He wants to talk about the Taliban. What's up, Thomas?
Hey, Hake. Happy Men's History Month.
Hey, happy Men's History Month. And speaking of Men's History Month, there is no women's forum today, ladies.
So I wanted to talk to you about the Taliban first. I wanted to tell you how it's amazing how free the Taliban are compared to me in Canada and you in the U.S.
Yeah. Okay.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I never thought I would say that one day. You know, it's crazy.
It is wild. It's wild. Yeah. When you see what their own, the Biden administration's only concerns are the women and the gays.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It's a very, 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 very dark time for us in the West. Honestly, it's and sometimes it's hard not to get into despair, but I think that's a sin. So.
It's what's a sin?
Despair.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you don't want to fall into despair. It's definitely wrong.
Yeah.
Even Jesus said, do not worry.
Yeah, yeah. But I wanted to tell you something else. It's in regards to the elections in Canada.
Okay.
So Justin Castro actually just decided to do elections, just random elections. He just decided to do them.
Okay.
Like right now, and everywhere on the streets you're seeing his face, just like in a communist country. Like, vote for me, but there's no way he's not going to win. You know, if there's fraud actually, there's no fraud in the U.S. Let's not say that.
Right.
But if there's alleged fraud in the U.S.
Shenanigans, yeah.
What do you think is going to happen in Canada?
Oh, yeah,
You know?
Interesting point. Where the high trust society people are already at a record low. Like you guys are already a minority.
Yeah.
The sensible people. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's going to win. I think personally he's going to win for sure, even if he doesn't really win. And
wow.
Yeah. It's getting really depressive here in Canada. I don't want to sound like a negative guy and bring negativity on your show, but sometimes it's just too much, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So they're doing. That's strange. What a messed up country Canada has become.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the tip, Thomas. I appreciate it. And the Taliban is not the main concern. The corrupt establishment here in America are much worse and more murderous, honestly. More murderous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
All right, bye.
Take care. Lord Grimm in Washington, D.C. How are you doing, Lord Grimm?
Hey, happy Men's History Month. Hey, what's going on, man?
Not much. Happy Men's History Month to you.
Excellent. Amazing.
Nice.
So I just want to talk about...
You're coming in real quiet, Lord Grimm. Are you on a speakerphone or something?
All right, what about now?
It's still coming in. I mean, it sounds clearer, but still really quiet.
Okay. Okay, now, what about now?
Much better. Thank you.
Amazing. So I just wanted to talk about I was talking to somebody earlier today. That's what made me think about this. But it's three major things that I don't think people really thinking about when it comes to this vaccine thing. There's three reasons why I believe that it's literally pointless to take it. Number one, if you take it, you still got to wear a mask. Number two, if you take it, you still might catch the coronavirus.
Yep.
Number three, if you take it, it doesn't prevent you from getting the Delta virus, and the Delta virus is supposed to be the big bad wolf compared to the coronavirus.
In fact, I don't know if that's even true. The Delta variant, they haven't decided whether it's worse. They just said that it's more.
It's different. It's pretty much different.
It's more contagious, but they don't know if it's more dangerous. They're looking at that. They're deciding whether it's more dangerous or not.
Got you. But I did hear that they said that the vaccine doesn't protect against that.
Right. Well, it protects a little bit. But you still get it. But it diminishes the severity of the symptoms. Is what they're claiming.
Thing, right?
What's that?
But here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I think they're trying to normalize this thing, man. this whole taking the vaccine thing and doing what we say, do what we say, take the vaccine. You know, they're trying to normalize this type of process, this type of thing. It's two things we lose. We lose freedom because, you know, of course they're trying to shove it down our throats and force us to take it. And we lose the right to choose for ourselves, which is, in my opinion, that should be like a basic human right. You know what I'm saying? Nobody should have a say-so over what you want for your body. Then you got women out here saying, my body, my choice.
Right.
They support that like 90 going north because it goes along with their agenda by holding the women up and raising them above the man and giving them more of a privilege than the man.
And killing the men's children.
Yeah, so I believe, man, this whole thing is a sham, man. It's just, you know, the more and more stuff that I hear about this thing, I'm like, man, they really bamboozle the masses with this stuff, man, because there's literally no reason, in my humble opinion, there's no reason to take this thing. And so my question is, why is it such? I'm still keep asking myself, why do they keep trying to press it so hard? And the only thing I could come up with is whatever's in it. It's just simple as this: they want it in our bodies.
You know what? I think that it's just control freak stuff. It's a control freak type of thing. These people many of the people who want you to take it the most have no clue what's in it. They have no clue what's in it. So I don't think that it's necessarily that there's anything in particular that's in it. They just are on a knowledge ego kick, and they want to force you to do something, and they're blind. They don't believe in God. They claim that your primary defense is the vaccine. That's not the case. Your primary defense is your own defenses that your body can put up, that was given to you by God when you treat your body right and be healthy. And they're not calling for people to be healthy. They're calling for people to rely on an artificially made thing. That the artificially made things, sometimes they help, like aspirin. Sometimes people take an aspirin or whatever, or a vaccine even. Sometimes vaccines, I don't know. Sometimes they're great for some people. But this vaccine for all thing is, they're panicked about giving it, like they're a parent. I saw a woman who's like a female news host who can't wait for it to be approved for her children who are under 12. I'm like, it doesn't even make any sense. Your children are not, probably not at risk from this virus. Give me a break.
You know, I just thought about something. You know, this is like, to me, this is like the equivalent of kind of selling your soul, man, as far as like giving up your morals and everything and stuff like that. And instead of, you know, listening to God, you know, put man in place of God and do what man says. You know, it's not a good thing when you get to this point in the world where people look at you crazy for not going along with the okie doke. And it's sad because we should not be looking at each other like that, tearing each other down. Why are you not taking it? It's kind of like it's really like reverse psychology. They got people at the point where now it's not this racism stuff. Like somebody said it earlier, how they're dividing people now with the vaccine thing.
Yes.
And it's really remarkable, man, to sit and watch what's playing out right now before our eyes.
Yeah.
People with open minds and eyes can see what's going on. Other people, unfortunately, they can't see, and I can see that they can't see. That's, you know, it's amazing.
Right. You know, they don't care who it hurts, because most people will survive it. Right. Most people will survive this thing without. I'm hearing the alarm.
Yeah,
the siren.
I'm downtown DC. It's always like this, man.
What a mess.
It's amazing. But
Biden's America.
Yeah, it's getting ready to pass by. Like.
Anyway.
Hold on 1 second.
Oh, he put me on hold. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, Lord Grimm. Great points, man.
Okay, hold on. I'm here. All right. So I also want to give a shout out to William. William is a dope guy, man.
Yeah.
You know, what I like about him, he's calm and collective. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't show emotion like Top Beta and everything, and you know, all that kind of stuff. He just wants to just get, you know, make valid points, speak the truth, and that's about it. You know what I'm saying? And people like Dr. Detroit, for you to be trying to, you know, pretty much crack jokes, because that's all he is, a jokester. He holds no valid points. He literally calls up the clown, and you know, it's sad because I think he's aware that he is a clown, and I think he's okay with it. Just like a lot of other blacks out here, just okay with being a buffoon, and he getting that misconstrued with like some type of respect or something. You don't get no respect. You don't get no. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not the life of the party, Dr. Detroit. You're really a clown, man, and you're exploiting yourself as a clown. And I don't even think you really. I don't think you understand it. You know what I'm saying? You call up here, you try to go on Hake. Oh, I'm getting your white woman. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What are we doing?
Talk about immature, am I right?
No, he's really immature.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't mind going. I don't mind debating with him and stuff, having a nice debate with him. But I really believe that his whole point of calling is just to be a clown.
Yeah.
You know, just to show the world, hey, I'm another black clown. You know, that don't mind being a black clown.
He's talking about Chuck from Detroit, Michigan. He called in calling himself Dr. Detroit. Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Beta and Top Beta. They both got some issues, man.
Yeah. Very true. I appreciate it, Lord Grimm.
But listen, man, happy Men's History Month. Hake, you on fire, man. And Chris, keep doing your thing. Hold it down. I'll see y'all in the chat.
Nice. Thank you, man.
All right.
Take care.
All right.
Kyle B., who may be social pariah, I'm not sure, says with a super chat on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report, when arguing with social justice commies, it is always best to have an informative link to refer them to instead of letting them control the narrative and dragging you into a swamp of endless minutia and semantics. Interesting point, man. That's one way to do it. You can provide them an informative link. Alternatively, you can just steamroll right over their stuff like JLP does. They get so frustrated talking with Jesse. Have you noticed that? The SJW psychos, the communists, social justice communists, which is not justice. No such thing as social justice. It's anti-justice is what they're for. It just steamrolls over. You don't even have to know a lot. You just have to know the basic truth, basic reality, because they're not based in reality. Source? I made it up. Source? Like it was so ridiculous. Reddit people, they are so ignorant. It is shocking how ignorant that they are about, for example, black crime or whatever. They have no idea that the stereotype of black criminals comes from black crime, rampant black crime. What a mess. You know, speaking of this, before I get back to calls, my favorite caller coming up. You know how I was talking about the mask madness? Broward and Alachua counties are being investigated by the state of Florida Board of Education for violating what the Florida Department of Health said regarding mask policies. Don't force mask the children, for example, right? Broward County is where they had that march against our lives. The kids who want, the dumb David Hogg, that skinny guy who's 18, who was a high schooler in, what was that, Valentine's Day 2018, during that shooting by that kid, school shooting. And then all of a sudden, take our guns away. Let's bring the kids. Well, the board recommended to the commissioner that upon conclusion of the investigation that the school board members could be removed from office and or have funds taken from their districts in the amount of superintendent and board members' salaries if they try to force the kids to wear masks against the wishes of many parents, right? Florida Board of Education Commissioner Richard Corcoran presented evidence of probable cause that Alachua, I don't know if I'm pronouncing their name correctly, and Broward counties were in direct violation of state law. These districts are picking and choosing which laws they want to follow, but Biden is for them. What a mess. They swore an oath to follow the state's constitution, and they have violated the oath. Corcoran said board members and superintendents swore an oath to uphold the Constitution and laws of Florida and are running afoul of their sworn duties by requiring students to wear masks without an opt-out clause for parents. You know how parents can sign permission to watch this or that movie? I remember before we could even watch a movie in class, We had to get a permission slip signed by our parents. We watched Platoon in a U.S. history, junior year of high school. Man, that's a rough movie. Here's another one. Pretending that Biden said, oh, let's not play politics with this. Sleepy Biden. The NFL's Jay Cutler, former NFL quarterback, Jay Cutler. He's white, looks white to me anyway. Lost his appearance on an Uber Eats /NFL partnered commercial after voicing his opinion on China/commie virus health regulations and mask mandates set on school children. He said this on social media, stated this on social media. This is Jay Cutler. Lost a commercial with Uber Eats partnering with the NFL. Was going to film in L.A. Views aren't aligned. Guess they don't like future school board members. Frees up my weekend. Makes it sound like he's going to run for the school board or something. Uber confirmed in a statement to USA Today they pulled the 38-year-old Indiana native, this football player, who's apparently somewhat sensible regarding masks for kids, right? From the cast of their commercial planned appearance or whatever they were going to do, due to his view on public health orders set during this so-called, this scamdemic. Noting they prefer to work with those who have similar views as the company. What is the company? Uber Eats? What does the company have to do with school kids wearing masks? Give me a break. Uber supports, infamously, Black Lives Matter. If you're a racist, delete our app. Something like that, right? Uber said that. We are proud of all the work Uber has done over the last year to help as many people get vaccinated as possible. Oh, yeah, they're giving free rides, right? A company spokesman said, as such, we prefer to partner with those who support that work. Cutler recently used his social media account to advocate against mask mandates set for school children. He also teased a possible run for a school board position in his home state of Tennessee. Born in Indiana, now maybe run for school board in Tennessee. Is that where Loudoun County is? Loudoun County has been the place where all these parents, some of them are getting arrested because they're going, and there was a PE teacher who I think was suspended, a male PE teacher, physical education, who said, Virginia, Loudoun County, Virginia. Okay. Yeah, there's a big ongoing fight. School board pushing the transgender madness and the LGBT and the Black Lives Matter scum of the earth stuff. Anyway, so he's a father of 3, and he asked his Twitter followers, how do you run for school board? I need this info. Former quarterback, ranked number 11 overall by the Denver Broncos in the 2006 NFL draft. So he may be running. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee signed an executive order to allow parents the final decision on whether their child should wear a mask at school. No one cares more about the child's health and well-being than the parent, said there's Republican Governor Bill Lee in a statement announcing that order. Uber is evil. Terrible, huh? Let me get to Maze in Dayton, Ohio. How are you doing, Maze?
Hello, James. I'm doing just marvelous as always.
Right on.
Somebody asked me a question yesterday. Do you remember what it was?
I do not.
Oh, I don't either, because I caught the end of it.
Right.
But anyway, I'm so tired of that man trying to convince you that he's a person of color. Why do he have to bring up what he is every day? Who cares if he's pink?
I don't know any man who's trying to convince me that he's a person of color.
Williams, he has to convince you every day to what he is.
No, he doesn't. I already know. I can tell that he's black by his voice. He sounds black.
Why do he have to tell you?
I don't know. Maybe he just wants to add that he's black.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you know people of color?
Why are you annoyed at him pointing out that he's black?
I'm not annoyed. I'm saying, why has he got to convince you?
He doesn't have to convince. I don't believe that he or I are thinking that he has to convince me. I already know he's black.
Okay, so in the other question, people of color.
Why do you ask that question? Are you annoyed? You claim not to be annoyed.
I'm not annoyed. I'm just wondering why he got to convince you.
Why do you wonder that?
Just wonder.
Maybe it's because most blacks are liberals and senseless, and he has a little bit of sense. A little bit of sense. So he has to say, oh, by the way, I'm black, even though I am talking with sense, because we're not used to blacks talking with a little bit of sense.
Or maybe he could be trying to tell you that.
Maybe that's why.
Maybe he could try to tell you that because all blacks don't think the same. Could that be it? Break it down like that.
Why?
That might be it, too.
Why?
Maybe that's why he's telling you he's black.
But most blacks do think the same.
Don't think the same, they don't look the same, and they don't act the same.
Most of them do think and act the same, though.
And some blacks mingle with everybody, from the ones that y'all talk about, like when you're talking about the
That's
Hispanic,
irrelevant. That's irrelevant. Mingling with everybody is a shallow value.
Talk about the ragheads, you don't know nothing about them.
Ragheads?
Yeah, you call them ragheads.
I never said ragheads.
Not you, those that think that way.
Nobody called my show calling them ragheads. You're the first person to call them ragheads. It's an interesting name. It's an interesting
If you have
name.
a mingle with them and know something about them, how you going to sit up here and give your opinion on them?
I haven't given my opinion on the Muslims.
Not you. I'm saying some of your heathen callers.
Heathens? None of my callers have even talked about the Arabs.
Who are you talking about now? Who are you talking about coming across that border every day?
There's all kinds of different people coming across the border.
Yes, but do you know anything about them?
No, but I know that they don't have our values.
About them, or you just gonna do what somebody told you to do?
You're a mess. You're a mess, man.
No, I will. You see, I'm not one of those type people that say what you want to hear to make you happy. Because I'm not here for that.
That's correct. You're trying to needle people to make them angry.
No, I'm just giving my opinion, just like everybody else. And if they don't like it, too bad, because I don't care.
Well, I know that you don't
I
care.
enjoyed the young lady that was talking to Jesse this morning. She was giving her opinion on what she thinks.
Who, Leanna from Florida?
Yeah. And what you gonna do?
Leanna, if you're listening to the show, take this as a warning. Maze liked your call. That's a warning sign. That's a warning sign.
It's just her
You're on the
opinion
wrong track, Leanna from Florida. We love you. We love you.
Only people you only think that y'all are only people with opinions, and then you don't.
No, we don't have opinions. You're the one with opinions.
Names, what fascist and all of these different names. I'm saying like
you're the one with opinions, Maze.
You should know how to think.
Anyway, nice talking with you, Maze.
In affirmative action. Now, before affirmative action came along, you had people had to teach people how to do the job.
I gotta run.
Huh?
I gotta run.
Oh, you got more callers?
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, tell those that can't think, and when they're saying, because the one, Lloyd Graham, he got to protect you. Let you protect yourself. You got a mouth, and that's why you're talking.
He's not protecting me. He's just giving his opinion. Maze, calm down. You're reading too much into these.
Dr. Detroit called in and said what he said to you yesterday.
I gotta go. Have a nice one.
Everybody got one.
Have a nice one.
They don't never give.
All right.
You have a good one.
You too. Thank you. Man, real fast. Man, I'm going to try it. I can't get to all of you guys, but quickly, Jared, a first-time caller in Dallas, Texas, go for it.
Hey, happy birthday, Hake.
Thank you, man. We got less than a minute.
All right, okay. I was wondering if salvation is more important, like leading people to salvation, or saving America is more important, because obviously we're losing the culture, and just your opinion on that.
God's will is more important.
Amen.
Because salvation and saving America are not completely up to us. We do our part. And in the meantime, people get so-called saved. People actually do get saved, some of them. And America may get saved or who knows what happens. But we fight. We never give up. We always have hope because we stand on what's right. So what do you say?
Yeah.
What do you say? Real fast.
I don't hear enough people talking about Revelations, but it seems to be coming true right before our eyes. But anyway, I heard a really good sermon by
call again, man. Yeah. Call again,
okay,
Jared.
We'll do. Yep. Okay.
Take care, man. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Sorry to Christina in Sacramento who wanted to talk on the phone, and then Tony in California wanted to talk about masks for kids. I wonder where Tony stands on that. But we have one last song from for today from 121 Christian band, 1998, when the dragon is finally laid to rest. This is called "Been Selling Out." Thanks, guys, and take care.